Welcome everyone to History Gone Wilder, part of Half History Will Travel. I am your host, the Wilder Historian, and as we move right along with the Battle of Chickamauga, I will be highlighting the next phase of the battle, the night attack by Patrick Cleburne on the night of September 19th. I will be taking a break from animating Chickamauga and probably resume it next September, where I will finish the engagement, but if there is enough support, I may finish it before then. However, I will be animating other engagements in the coming weeks, as well as throwing in detailed accounts of United States and world history. Cheatham's earlier retreat around Winfrey and Brock Field caused Leonidas Polk, the general in charge of that sector, great concern. He hoped to throw back the Federal divisions in his front and help stabilize the overall Confederate line, as Stuart's brigades were pushing into the Union rear during the breakthrough. They would be the ones thrown into battle against Richard Johnson's division near Winfrey Field. Later in the afternoon, the two rebel brigades stepped off and Walthall immediately came into contact with Johnson's troops. The well-fortified position of the Blue troops formed an impenetrable wall for the Mississippians. To the north, Govan's brigade advanced and found no enemy in their front. The 6th and 7th Arkansas did break off to engage some of the Union troops, but the rest passed by the flank. Baldwin and Willock were not oblivious to the rebels going past them. Willock suggested Baldwin move his reserve to the flank and hit the enemy with enfilading fire, which he did. The Federal troops harassed the Confederate flank, catching them off guard. This forced Govan to pull back. Walthall likewise pulled back when he realized he could make no headway against the Blue line. The fresh division of Patrick Cleburne was now in that sector, and Liddell was convinced that a great opportunity could be had if a fresh division attacked the Union line in that location. Cleburne knew Liddell very well. Liddell had served as a brigade commander under Cleburne for nearly a year, but Cleburne refused the offer to attack. Furthermore, it was getting dark and the Irishman didn't know the ground in front of him. Lieutenant General D.H. Hill, Cleburne's corps commander, arrived on the field and Liddell reiterated his argument to Hill, who concurred that an opportunity could be had. It was settled Cleburne would attack despite the growing darkness. George Thomas was working diligently to piece the Union battle line together amid the breakthrough. After Govan and Walthall's failed attack, Thomas ordered Baird to place 2 of his brigades on the left of Johnson. At this point, Thomas made an important decision. The Union line was now disconnected, with its left too far to the east of the Lafayette Road. At 5 p.m., Thomas gave the Union left the order to fall back and concentrate on more commanding ground. When he gave that order, the breakthrough at Brotherton Field was still being fought off by the divisions of Van Cleve and Negley. However, the division commanders did not receive the order until after the breakthrough had been pushed back. Thomas personally rode to the Union left, convened with Baird and Johnson, and all 3 generals rode to the west in order to scout the best ground to place their men. All 3 generals were gone when Cleburne's men deployed for an attack. Darkness was covering the battlefield, and this led to great confusion for Cleburne's troops. Brigadier General Sam Wood's brigade started off confused. For one, Wood could not be found, and the regiments lost connection with one another in the darkness. When they stepped off, the 45th Alabama surged past its other comrades, while the others attempted to feel their way through the darkness. The 16th Alabama came up on the left of the 45th and fired a volley into their own comrades. The confusion led to both of those regiments fallen back to the safety of the woods. The regiments that did make it to the Union lines exchanged volleys with one another, but because they simply aimed at muzzle blasts, neither side were very accurate. However, that would not be the case when Colonel Baldwin rode in front of his lines to urge his men to counterattack the rebels. Confederate bullets killed Baldwin and his horse. His troops tried in vain to recover his body, but to no avail. He was most likely buried in one of the unknown soldiers' graves. Cleburne ordered up 2 artillery batteries to fire into the Blue ranks from a distance of about 60 yards. This secured the center of Wood's disorganized brigade. Polk's brigade worked its way around the Union left flank, but because of the positioning of Scribner and Starkweather's brigades, the 2 Union brigades fired into one another while attempting to fight back against Polk's troops. Baird's men fell back in decent order despite the confusion. Cleburne's 3rd Brigade under Colonel Deschler had lost contact with Wood in the darkness and had traveled to the southwest. Cheatham, not knowing about this disconnect, ordered Smith and Jackson forward to support Deschler. Since Smith thought he was acting in a supporting role for Deschler, he didn't send out skirmishers. Riding at the front of his battle line, Smith found himself in the middle of Dodge's troops. About 30 rifles fired at the mounted figure, and some found their mark. Smith would be seriously wounded and die within the hour. Deschler's brigade did locate the correct location and swung north, overlapping Dodge's line and capturing a large number of the 77th Pennsylvania. With their flanks collapsing, Willock, Dodge, and Baldwin's men fell back and formed on Baird's division. Cleburne did not pursue. His division had pushed back the enemy, just as his superior wanted, and to push further might risk the integrity of his brigades. The entire day of September 19th had been a confusing situation. Union brigades were detached from their normal divisions and corps, and sent to various sectors dependent on where the rebels attacked. By nightfall, Thomas Crittenden, commander of the 21st Corps, commanded the Union right, while George Thomas, commander of the 14th Corps, commanded the Union left. Alexander McCook, commander of the 20th Corps, had no discernible command. All of his divisions and brigades had been taken and placed either on the Union right or left, and therefore he was left without anyone specifically to command. The Confederate command was also in a confused state. 4 separate Confederate corps were on the field, but the rebels, like the Union, had plucked brigades and divisions from different sectors and threw them into battle alongside different units. Braxton Bragg decided to make 2 wings, with Leonidas Polk commanding the right and James Longstreet commanding the left. He met with each wing commander separately, telling them the battle plan of Polk assaulting the Union position at dawn with D.H. Hill's corps, breaking the line and then moving south. Longstreet would then attack and help drive the Union Army away from Chattanooga. Bragg expected his wing commanders to inform their subordinates of the plan. Polk sent the orders to Hill and went to bed, expecting them to be delivered, but they never were. Hill positioned Cleburne's troops before riding off at midnight for Bragg's headquarters. Hill got lost and had to return to Cleburne's position, where Hill found out that he was now under Polk's command. It was now 3 a.m., and Hill set off again, searching for Polk this time. He never found him. Major General John Breckinridge was the other division commander in Hill's corps. Breckinridge spent much of the night at Polk's headquarters, but Polk never told him about the attack he was to make as a part of Hill's corps. Longstreet, on the other hand, after receiving orders from Bragg at about 11 p.m., went to bed, arose before dawn, and notified all of his division commanders of their responsibility for that day. The dawn attack that Bragg had planned was already going awry before it ever took place.